Candidates in both parties have indicated dissatisfaction with the current federal tax system. What would be your proposed solution?
I think there's a lot of great plans out there for taxes, whether you're a proponent for the flat tax, the fair tax, whether you're a proponent for the current progressive tax system that we already have. But I think there's things probably all of us can agree on that we want to see as a part of tax reform. Most of us want to see lower rates, whether it be for the individual or for the corporations. Most of us probably want to see an end to double taxation, like the capital gains tax, like the death tax. Most of us probably want to see a more simplified system that we don't have to spend thousands of dollars every single April just to get our taxes accomplished. These are things that we can all agree on, regardless of whether we move towards any of those other plans that exist out there. These are the things that we can make sure we accomplish as a part of tax reform, and those are the individual parts that I certainly want to see as a part of any reform that takes place within the tax code.
You know, the current tax system is so bad that there are like an infinite number of ways that we can fix it right now, or at least improve it. One, cutting the capital gains tax. Not only is that a cut in the rates, but it's going to drive this economy forward. Two, flatter rates and a broader tax base. We shouldn't be as progressive as we are. We need to be closing loopholes. We need to be expanding the number of people that pay taxes and flattening and broadening that base. Number three, we need to be looking at the end of penalties on repatriation. There's more than $2 trillion in money right now made by American businesses that are parked overseas that they won't bring home because it gets dinged for taxes that they don't have to pay if they leave it there. That's a tragedy. We can drive the engine of this economy to the tune of $2 trillion tomorrow if we can bring that money back home. That would be a good starting point.
Well, of course, I mentioned most of those things in my earlier statements. Let me say this about taxes. They've got to be made lower, but they've got to be made lower in a way that will appeal to both sides of the aisle. You're not going to get it done unilaterally. And I've had experience with this, as you know. When I went to Tallahassee, I put forth something called portability. It's turned out to be the largest tax decrease in the history of the state of Florida. There's billions of dollars of real estate not being taxed, and a lot of people are living the home of their dream. We have some creative ways to work this, and we have an expertise in the area of tax legislation that will allow us to put forth some ideas and advocate for them and get them done.
To me, I think we all agree that the tax system needs to be flatter, simpler, and fair. I just recently spoke to an IRS agent that, and this is from an IRS agent that told me that the IRS should be abolished. She said, I'm dead serious. She said it should be abolished. She said all of the fixes that we are doing, they are not working. It's been 30 years since we've truly simplified the tax code, and it's time that we truly addressed it and made it simpler, flatter, and fair.
Yeah, just to be quick about that, we need a flat tax, and we need to retain the mortgage deduction for our middle class. Let me come back to that question about healthcare very quickly, because what was said here is a lot of plain vanilla disinformation. It has nothing to do with the things that were said from this stage, the problems in medicine. The losses that we're experiencing in medicine have to do with four things: doctor error, fraudulent high-tech, the payment system itself, which costs 15 cents out of every dollar, and then across, of course, the fraud that goes on with Medicare and Medicaid in Washington, the tune of, conservatively, $70 billion a year. But doctor error, because I'm in the trenches and I know what happens, doctor error is costing us an enormous number of dollars. Those are the real deals.